How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Firstly, I just wanted to say thank you for the continued support over this festive period. I know the videos are coming thick and fast, so thanks for all the love in the comments down below. I really do appreciate it. But in this video, we're going to be talking about the Game Week 14 preview. We're not going to be talking about anything relating to the double and the blank game weeks. If you have not checked my video I made 2 days ago, go watch that. It's the ultimate guide to the double and blank game weeks 18 and 19. Don't worry, I will be creating many more videos on the double and the blank game weeks coming up, probably about next week. But this video strictly is going to be just about the Game Week 14 talking points, which are the watch list, if Chelsea defenders have lost their pizzazz and should we be dropping them, and then we're going to be going on to the main talking point of the video, which is which premium assets should we be looking at. Son versus Kevin De Bruyne, Son versus Kane, etc. And then we're going to finally wrap it off with the captaincy debate. So if that's something you're interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get into it. So the watch list has been updated with 2 new entries. I've entered 2 budget defenders because with all these premium assets that are performing quite well, I kind of feel the need that I have to downgrade my defense because my expensive defenders are simply just not performing, and these budget options are actually becoming quite nice assets. So what I've gone for here is I've gone for Kufal from West Ham United. 4.6 million, just got an assist this game week 13, so that takes him to 3 assists. Played a lot of minutes. Just remember that I think he was a new signing for West Ham, so might have missed the first couple game weeks of the season, but is a strict starter in that starting 11, so I can't really see too much rotation there. And West Ham have lovely fixtures coming up, not this game week against Chelsea, so I might give him this game week to just assess the situation, but after that they have a lovely sea of green, and is definitely one of those budget options that is on my radar. The next budget option is going to be Stuart Dallas from Leeds United. So Leeds, not known really for their defensive work this season. I know in the Championship they had one of the best defenses in Europe, but they seem to be quite leaky at the back. But that's not really why you buy Dallas for. You buy him for out of position play, and you also buy him for those attacking returns. So this game week he managed to get a goal, which takes him to 2 goals and 1 assist, and he's basically played every single minute, if not every single minute, for Leeds. So I don't think there's going to be too much rotation there. Both these 2 defenders come in at 4.6, so a little bit more than that budget 4.5, but that's perfectly fine with me. And especially with those double and those blank game weeks coming up and the bench boost potentially in game week 19, we need some budget options that are hopefully going to get us those points and those blanks and doubles, and I think these 2 lads could do the job. Then finally, no introduction there, Heung-min Son. Not going to talk about him too much, just going to say that he's got 11 goals and 4 assists, had a pretty good game week against Liverpool there, scoring that goal on the counter attack, and I can promise you that I'll be talking a lot about Heung-min Son in the upcoming talking points, and let's go and move on to that. So the next talking point, as I mentioned, was the Chelsea defense, and should you be keeping them or should you be shipping them out? So I think this question comes down to basically if you've doubled, maybe even tripled up, but I think most people might have doubled up on that Chelsea defense. If you own one Chelsea defender, I don't really think there's a massive need to take them out, but if you have doubled up on them, I think that that's a lot more consideration that has to take place because you simply are missing out on those clean sheets. So Chelsea recently haven't been getting a lot of clean sheets, so what I did was I took their results over the last 6 game weeks from game week 8 to game week 13, and I assessed their defensive stats, and to be honest, their defensive stats are looking quite good. So they're second in the Premier League for XG conceded and expected clean sheets. I know a lot of people don't really like the expected clean sheets, but what I like to do is I compare their XG and X clean sheets to their actual reality stats, and then we can kind of see if they're overperforming or underperforming. So in terms of expected clean sheets, they're 2.88, and I think they managed only 2 clean sheets in that one against Newcastle and Spurs. But when we look at the fixtures that they have played, I reckon that Sheffield United game, which is a little bit unlucky if you remember, they scored kind of a deflected goal off a corner, so we can wipe that one out, but that still shows there that they actually are overperforming their defensive stats. So with that Sheffield United game, it would have been 3 clean sheets and their XG only said 2.88, so that means there's a slight overperforming, but they also have played quite attacking sides there. So Leeds, Spurs, Everton and Wolves in their last 4 game weeks. And if you look at the fixtures coming up, West Ham, Arsenal, Aston Villa, I do think there's a potential for some clean sheets in there. I think the Man City game might be a write-off, but actually Man City aren't really playing that well there, so that could be quite a drab 0-0. And then obviously they have that game week 19, but we're not going to talk about that game week 19 double game week too much because I wanted to kind of focus on the next couple game weeks. So personally, if I was to double up on those 2 options, I probably would look to downgrade. I think that West Ham might be a close game, that could be a clean sheet there. Arsenal could be a clean sheet as well, but then you've got Aston Villa and Man Man City. And those games aren't really guaranteed clean sheets, even West Ham and Arsenal. So if I was to double up, I probably would look at a downgrade. If there are no fires to put out, you could do that. If there are the fires to put out, I don't think it's the worst decision in the world to just keep that double, especially if it is Chilwell and Reece James, because those two are getting forward still loads, especially Reece James. So if you were to take both of those out, I would probably take Chilwell out before Reece James, just because he's a bit cheaper, and I think from an attacking point of view, he's actually putting up more stats. But with the whole Chelsea situation, it is quite tough for who should you drop them to, because if they're the second best defensive stats in the Premier League, and Man City only best them, who should you be bringing in? So I would simply just downgrade them to a budget option. We spoke about Kufal, we spoke about Dallas, maybe move them on for those two, so then at least you can upgrade your other departments, especially those premium brackets. So it's a tough situation to be in with the Chelsea defense. I think if you own one, just keep them, but if you do own two, I would look at potentially shipping them out. So moving on to the main talking point of the video, it's going to be the premium assets. I'm pretty much only going to focus in this section on the midfielders. I know there are forwards that are premiums as well, Jamie Vardy, Harry Kane, but I think the main debate is around which midfield premium asset should you have, as this kind of section is highly contested with a lot of good options. So what I've done here is I've gone for Mo Salah, Heung-min Son, Kevin De Bruyne, and Bruno Fernandes, and below them I've listed their current points. So I'm recording this video on Thursday afternoon, so Bruno Fernandes has unfortunately not played his game against Sheffield United, so if he goes and banks tonight, he could actually match maybe Mo Salah if he gets a massive haul, but he definitely still has more points than Kevin De Bruyne, and that's kind of the shocking situation that we currently are in. I know that Man City have played one less game than these other assets. Bruno Fernandes obviously not included there because he still plays tonight, but with 60 points, that's a lot less than Mo Salah and Heung-min Son's 102 and 114. So these two options up front there, Mo Salah and Heung-min Son, are absolutely smashing it this season. I think I saw a stat yesterday from the official FPL Twitter account that said Mo Salah is actually on for his best season ever. And if you remember previous seasons, Mo Salah has gone on to score 300 plus points and been a great option. So I mean, imagine if he has his record season and Heung-min Son is catching him. These two look like unmissable points. So what I want to highlight here is the importance of your captaincy plan. So when I look at my premium assets, I always have a captaincy plan because that should kind of dictate which premiums you own. It's kind of no use owning Kevin De Bruyne, Mo Salah, and Heung-min Son if you only want to captain Heung-min Son, and then maybe in a game week that he doesn't have a good fixture, you don't have any other options. So if you look at the fixtures here, I think game week 14 there's a strong argument for maybe a Bruno Fernandes captain against Leeds, and then in game week 15 I think Mo Salah definitely is going to be the standout option there. You could also go for Kevin De Bruyne against Newcastle, but I don't know if they're going to have that great game. Man City aren't on the best of form recently. And then in game week 16 and 17, I think it's the Heung-min Son or the Harry Kane show there. So Fulham at home or Leeds at home, I think are great shots for the Spurs options. So if you're looking at the captaincy debates, I think there's a strong consideration for maybe Bruno Fernandes, Mo Salah, and Heung-min Son. Kevin De Bruyne faces Everton and Chelsea in game week 16 and 17, so I don't think you're going to be looking at him as a captaincy option, but maybe in game week 15 against Newcastle, you could consider him. So if you're looking purely on fixtures, I think that Kevin De Bruyne falls a little bit short here, especially with the form that Man City are currently showing. I don't really think I trust them that much. So in terms of fixtures, Mo Salah, Bruno Fernandes, and Heung-min Son are definitely my favorite options. And considering that Man City are underperforming, let's actually go and look at Kevin De Bruyne versus Heung-min Son purely on stats. So here I've gone for the stats diagram of Kevin De Bruyne and Heung-min Son. Kevin De Bruyne is in red and Heung-min Son is in blue. And as you can see there on the screen, absolutely sensational stats from Kevin De Bruyne, which shows how underperforming Man City are actually doing, and Kevin De Bruyne over as a whole is not actually performing that well. The thing that you kind of have to look at there is those big chances created though, which shows that the Man City forwards are simply not finishing the chances that Kevin De Bruyne is presenting them, which is quite worrying. But I think that shows that in the upcoming game weeks, if they can turn it around, Man City should go back to smashing a couple teams, and that's where I kind of want to own Kevin De Bruyne. So it's quite hard yet to also go for the Son versus De Bruyne stats debate, because with the style that Spurs are currently playing, they have a low amount of chances, but they are quite clinical. I think that Heung-min Son has shown that he's one of the most clinical finishers in the Premier League at the moment, and that's why I am tempted by him, but I think the fixtures have to improve for me really to jump on him. So what I think I'm going to currently do is I'm going to give Kevin De Bruyne that Newcastle fixture, and then in game week 16 and 17 I'm going to be looking to shift him onto Heung-min Son, and then use that budget that's freed up to also bring in Harry Kane for that Spurs double up. So talking about Son versus Kane, and if you are considering which option to go for, I think that's a little bit of a no-brainer for me. I think that Harry Kane is definitely the one to go for, especially because of the fact that he's on penalties as well. So there's been a regression in the amounts of penalties that have been given away, but I think there are still that are going to be upcoming, and I think this slightly puts it in the area for Kane to be my favorite option between these two Spurs assets. So finally, in terms of captaincy for this week, it's also quite a hard captaincy week like it was this week. We've got Mo Salah, Harry Kane, and Bruno Fernandes as my 3 favorite options. So I've already spoken about Bruno Fernandes against Leeds. I mean, Leeds are leaky at the back, and I'm expecting this to be quite a highly contested game against Manchester United. So I reckon that Bruno Fernandes could be a good shout here, and probably who I'm going to be going for. But I think it's also a strong argument for Harry Kane / Heung-min Son or Mo Salah. So Mo Salah, I know he got that reflective goal, so not the best performance in the world for him, and it is against the bogey team for Liverpool, Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace drawing to Spurs the previous game week, so we just kind of seen what the form that they in and the ability of them to hold off a strong big hitter. So that could be the case here against Liverpool, but I still have faith in Mo Salah to get some goods. And then I think Harry Kane is also an excellent shot here against Leicester. We saw Everton beat Leicester 2-0. Leicester seem to be a little bit hit or miss on the defensive side of things, so I definitely can see Harry Kane and Heung-min Son doing well here. So if you own them, I would heavily consider captaining them, but I think for my own team, I'm probably going to be leaning a little bit more towards Bruno Fernandes. So this is basically going to wrap the video, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like it if you did, and subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. I will check you guys tomorrow for the team selection, and if you do have any questions, drop them down below. I answer all comments as usual, so hopefully I do get back to you. I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.